Welcome to the Coachers Podcast. Coaches, athletes, parents, and fans, this is your vault for inspiration.
How's it going? This is Keanu Yamamoto with the Coachers Podcast, sitting here with Coach Guy Enriques, former head volleyball coach for Oregon State, and most recently Kamehameha Schools Hawaii. Coach Guy is also the founder of Guy Enriques Team Camp, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, team volleyball camp in the Pacific Northwest. Coach, thanks for jumping on. Please tell us about your family, journey, background, progression, all that good stuff.
Well, it's a long one. Well, hey, my volleyball career started off in Big Island, Hawaii. I had a really good coach, James Dumigan, and I learned basketball, I learned volleyball. In fact, I went to college playing on a full-ride scholarship playing basketball. And I got into volleyball. I transferred out of the University of Hawaii and went to Washington State for the remainder of my schooling for education. And over there, they had a club team in volleyball for men's. They didn't have men's at the time in collegiate, but they did have a men's club. So I joined that, and it's just because I had enough high school playing ball that they made me the coach for that thing. So that's my first coaching assignment I ever had. And from there, the women's coach saw how successful our men's team was doing in club that she asked me to help with their club team. And that's how I really got into to volleyball. Is just being around it enough that I went from there to getting a job in the Tri-Cities in Washington. And then as I was doing internship there for a teacher, the head coach had me run her team. And then when I got out of school, they hired me first off right at the bat to coach that team and teach. So I was there for a year. And after that, I don't know if you're familiar with the Multnomah Athletic Club. They reached out to me. It's in Portland. And They said, hey, we want you to come play for us and we'll find you a job in Oregon. So they did. I moved down there and got a job coaching at Gresham High School and playing for the Multnomah Athletic Club, which is one of the top 4 clubs in the country at the time in the open division. So that's how I came to Oregon, and Oregon was basically where I learned volleyball. I was surrounded by really good coaches on the high school that I coached at. Gresham High School, they had an incredible coaching staff in football and basketball. I mean, just fantastic people that I got lucky to fall around, and they kind of groomed me as a young coach. And then 6 years of coaching, I was able to win a state championship there, and that led me to Oregon State. That in itself was a miracle. To go from high school ball to, D1 with no college coaching experience except helping club at Washington State. So that in a miracle was itself. And then, of course, we did very well there. And then came home. My wife and I wanted to raise our kids the way I grew up in Hawaii. So that's why we moved back. And here I am, still here.
Nice. So are you born and raised Hilo, Hawaii side?
Kau. Country boy. Yeah, small school.
Oh, there you go, Coach. Yeah. So, and you were just at
Oregon.
No doubt. You were just at Kamehameha Schools Hawaii. We were just talking before we got on. 24 years.
24 years. Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Well, it's hard to beat. The resources at that school is incredible. Their finances are well set. So we got a lot of opportunities to travel. And as my kids were starting growing up, I was hoping being a part of the coaching would get my kids in there. And eventually they did. They all got in at certain times. By the time they were in high school, they got into Kamehameha Schools. And like I said before, we lived about an hour, 15 minutes out of Hilo. So my kids would get on a bus at 5:30 in the morning and drive that and then be back, like probably 6 o'clock at night. So they were gone most of the day. And when volleyball season came, and I would drive that every day for 6 days a week for about 4 months, the length of the season. So it was a long drive for 24 years. I can't believe I did that for 24 years. But it was a great experience because we were able to take the teams off island during the season at least twice a year to the mainland. I mean, I don't know any other school that did that. We would do 2 times a year. We would travel to the mainland and back within the season. And in the last 5 years that I coached the girls, it was 6 years or so, we traveled 3 times. We went to the fall class, the Durango Classic in Las Vegas, and we traveled to the Nike tournament in Arizona. And we always finished off with the SoCal Invitational in San Diego. But having competed in these big time tournaments, this is what allowed us to finish in the top 4 almost every year.
That's awesome, Coach. I know you got 5 boys. The fact that you got 5 boys is crazy, and you don't have a girl inside there. But talk to me a little bit about just the coaching dynamics, because I know I'm excited about it. I'm nervous about it with my kids coming up and wanting to coach them within some sports. Talk to us a little bit about the coaching dynamics with coaching your own kids.
It's probably the most enjoyable part of my coaching career is coaching my kids, being around them and around them in, club. We started off in club when they were 8 years old, playing against the girls, even though they were 10 and under, we were playing against 12, 14, and 16-year-old girls because there weren't very many boys team around at the time. But they had fun beating up on the older girls, and they were pretty good ball handling because of, literally, I've been doing the Guy Enriques camps. This is my 40th year. So every single year, these kids in diapers, whatever, would travel up to the mainland, and they were all around volleyball all the time. And they were part of the camp growing up and coaching. So by the time they got to high school, man, they were good. And as far as, like I said, coaching them, my wife and I think maybe where you're going to get started now, we made an agreement that our kids, one of us is going to be with our kids. We're not going to give them out. We're going to grow them up ourselves. So they never really had a babysitter but us. So one of us worked, and my role was, once they were old enough, was to make sure they were college ready. Because I think that the toughest thing was I got 5 boys, and we were lucky enough that all 5 made Division I playoffs. I mean, teams, which is, I don't know if another family can get all 5 boys going in playing Division I, and that's my pride. If there's one thing I'm proud about is that. I don't know how that worked out, but it worked out. But having them all in high school at one time forced me to come up with some new ideas that has made our camp successful. Because I had to devise a system so that not a player, a parent, or administration would say, hey, they're only playing because it's coach's kids.
Yeah.
They needed to learn they needed to have a system where they got on the court because of their skill. And I think I've used that system in my camps since then, which has made it so productive. I mean, this past year at the camps that we had Oregon has 6 divisions, 1A, 2A, 3A. We had a Guy Enriques Team Camp in every single one but one. So 5 out of 6 had a team in the finals that come to our camp. 2 were state champions and 4 finished second, or 3 finished. And one team has 5 state championships. Another one has 6 consecutive state championships, all using the system that I used with my kids.
Yeah.
And 2 of the coaches have kids just like I did, and they use the system so that you don't have to worry about what other people think, because your kid is on there because if they're playing, it's because they earned it.
Yeah. Can you kind of dive into a little bit of what the system consists of?
Well, it's called BRED. It's BRED, breaking records every day. So it's a way that you have to compete and you have to have the scores to get on the court. And it's small group training. So you're 2-on-2. You always have goals in what you're doing. And it's a simple thing like you and I hitting. I'll give you an example, 2 contact pepper. I hit it to you, you pass it to yourself, you hit it back to me. Every time we hit it, it's a point, and you're counting, right? So when the ball drops, it stops. So if, let's say you and I are doing this and we get 20, right? So 20 is our goal. Every day we come, we got to beat that record. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's really simple.
Yeah. So
tomorrow we come, but we have like 6 or 7 drills like that. So that's like 2 contact pepper. Now we take that same drill. It's just me and you on one side. Now you go on the other side. Now we're doing 2 contact pepper across the net. And then our scores will probably drop down to like maybe half. So the same drill, just warming up. We got to do 20 just on one side of the net. The next day, or the next drill, we got to do 15. Let's say we got 15 over the net. But these are 2 just examples of how you set up a drill every day. You got to beat it.
Yeah. No, I like that, Coach. In past discussions with other coaches on top here, if you want to be great at something, you have to measure it, and it has to be a visual representation. And it's something like you're saying, it's just, these are data points where you can always fall back on, not only for the players' development and their growth, but just like you're saying, from outside noise for people who want to come and maybe ask questions as far as, or make statements, why is your kid playing? Then
Here
you
it
have
is,
this,
black and white.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Like, yeah. There's a, how does it go? If you value this, there's a quote, and this is how I devised BRED. I was doing a weight training program, and they had this BRED system where every day you come in the weights. If I doing squats and I lifted a total of 1,000 pounds of squats, tomorrow I got to beat that. And I took that system and did the same thing. And then I also ran across a quote that says, if you value the skill, how does it go? Dang it. You got to manage the skills you value, bottom line. If you value the skills, manage it, and you'll see improvement. And that's from those two things, that one quote I saw and that one weight training thing I did, I put those things together and then put it in volleyball. And then we actually did it even more so, like it's you and your partner, right? And you once you start off this, you cannot change your partner because you're competing against you and your partner.
Gotcha.
To get better scores every day. Now, let's say we carry like 18 people or more. That means you have 9 pairs. So now you break out those pairs and you play 2-on-2 across the net on small court, split the court in half, and you play 2-on-2, and you play, let's say, 7 minutes, whoever's ahead in 7 minutes, right? And you have, let's see, you have 9 pairs. So you want 2 courts, and you split the pairs in half. So they're competing against each other. If you're in the top 2, you move up 1 court, bottom 2, you move down 1 court. So you're moving up and down every day. And then, like in our case, our boys were in the top court all day long. And then you can tell when they mess up, or you can tell when you're doing good. I mean, it's so easy. You don't have to coach them because they see it's obvious when they're slacking and they're not focused because their scores don't reflect it. They're not getting better every day.
Yeah,
so
well,
breaking records every day has been the system that's really to help every team that I've coached, and the teams that come to camp that buy into it. Oh my gosh, there's a big difference. That's why you have 6 consecutive state championship. In fact, the coach that has that record, 6 consecutive state championship, was the same age as my boys, and she played as a little kid going through camp. She went through college, played for Pacific Northwest someplace. Outstanding player, became a coach right away, and her first year coaching, 6 straight championships using the system, and comes to our camp every year.
That's good right there.
Pretty awesome.
That's pretty good. That's really good. It's really good. You know, I had the privilege to play against you in high school and went to HBA, so it was kind of the battle of the private schools on the Big Island. And it was fun to play against you and play against Evan, and you know, because Coach Sharon's wife or husband, Uncle Greg, he would always take stats, and he did a really good job of taking stats. And then you go and look at the stat line, like post game, like Evan, 110, 115 sets a game, and we're playing these. You know, a lot of times we're going to 4 to 5 sets every time we play each other. Yeah. And I mean, he was a workhorse, man. He was a workhorse, and I wasn't very good at talking crap, and it's not something I prided myself in. But there was one game, I think it was my senior year. Every time we were at the net, I try to call him the wrong name just to try and throw him off a little bit. I try to call him the wrong name just to, hey, good hit, Eric. You know, just trying to throw a random name out there. It didn't work. It didn't work. I mean, he was a freaking steel vault, but it was fun, man. Those are some of my favorite memories, just as far as competing sports in high school. But kind of going back a little bit, you know, what is the why behind coaching? I know you wanted to be in education with Washington State, got to coach the club team, but what was the why, and when did that like click? Like, oh, this is something I really want to do and can do for the rest of my life. Well,
you know, I coached at Gresham High School and taught for 6 years, and I really enjoyed my time over there. Like I said, I was surrounded by really good people. That was the thing. That I had really good environment of solid coaches with great values. I was fortunate that way. And then I never really knew how tough teaching was. Even I taught PE. I had the best schedule in the world. I had 2 periods of swimming because I'm a swim instructor. I was a lifeguard before I went up there. I mean, I had all my swimming background. You know, I'm a beach guy. So I had 2 periods of swimming. I had 2 periods of PE, freshman PE. And at the time, they were not co-ed. So it was... Man, I was in the gym playing hockey, basketball. I mean, I had the boys, so man, it was pretty cool. And then I had health, so I got to get into a classroom situation where you know things slow down and you get to actually meet the kids and then see, help them with the health issues. But it was fantastic until I got the head coaching job at Oregon State, and I realized, oh my gosh, that was tough. I was like Sunday nights, I would go, gosh, I got to get my lesson plans together. It's Monday. Oh my God. Wednesday was like, oh, it's hump day. And then Friday is like, yeesh. I lived like that for 6 years. I didn't realize it. It was tough. But I loved the coaching at the time. Boy, the money was good for a single guy up there because, what do you call, I was coaching basketball, assistant basketball, head girls tennis, and head
He was
volleyball.
doing them all.
I was doing them all. I was making 15 grand when I quit over there just from coaching.
Yeah.
15 grand.
That's good.
You can't even do that anywhere. I mean, not in Hawaii anyway. Geez, I'm
Yeah.
barely getting paid over there. In fact, coaching at Kamehameha School, I lost money every single year just from
Hey,
the
but
travel.
your kids got to go there, and every kid, like you said, went to a Division I school.
Yeah,
That was the payoff right there.
that was the payoff. I mean, I didn't see it coming, but once I got to Oregon State, I realized, man, I love working for myself. I love being able to take control of my own destiny. And I don't know how it was going to turn out. I mean, it was all brand new to me. It was a tough route because stepping into that arena, you go to a Pac-10 meeting and all the coaches like Don Shaw and Gerald Gregory, all the big names are sitting in there in front of me. And I'm like, all right, here I go. The why behind that was just survival and using what I knew, because at the time, I played Gerald Gregory, Tino Reyes, who was the coach before me. We all played on the same club team. This is after I was done with the Multnomah Athletic Club, because I was there, a good 6-7 years. And then after a certain amount of time, your scholarship ends at the MAC Club, and you got to join. But to join, man, it was way too much money for me to be a part of that program. So we left, and then we created another team. It's called the Dark Side, with Gerald Gregory, Tino Reyes, myself, the coach, what's his name? Portland State coach. He coached at Oregon State for a while too. Mazaki.
He's at Oregon or Portland State right now.
No, he's done, I think, already.
Gotcha.
But I mean, these are all the coaches of the colleges. We're all playing on the same team, so I got to know them all. It was a survival kind of thing for me. I love the challenge. In fact, I got to know Gail Rosehill at the time. I don't know if you know Gail Rosehill. Her last name was Yamamoto. Gail Yamamoto.
Well, I
She
probably
was
should
an
know that.
outstanding player in high school, and then played for Oregon State.
Okay.
And then when I got in, she's asked to be there. So she was my assistant. So we had a Hawaii connection right there. And together we did a good job.
Yeah. What was the biggest growing pains going from Gresham to Oregon State?
Recruiting. I worked day and night, pounded the streets, got so many no's. It was like crazy. Even got set up once, and it worked out for good. This one coach from Gonzaga, what's his name? Sean somebody. He was a pretty good coach at Gonzaga. And he came up to me at one of these things we were recruiting, and he goes, "Hey, are you looking for we didn't have liberos then." He says, "I got a player for you that's contacting me, but I can't use her. And she's top notch." So I said, "Oh, yeah, I'll take the name." So I made contact. She went to Cresswell, someplace down in Eugene. Or it was Cresswell? Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Down in that area. And then when I find out, I called her first because I wanted to make contact, and she sounded really good. She wanted to come to Oregon State, and so I was all stoked. Then I went to go check her out, and she was like 5'6". She wasn't the hitter I thought she'd be. She was a hitter in high school, but she was really good, in high school. But she turned out to be one hell of a defensive player. In fact, in her junior year, I actually gave her a scholarship because she was that good as a defensive specialist. We didn't have liberos when I was coaching over there then, but it turned out really good. And then it was the defense that made us who we are at Oregon State at the time. Yeah, I don't think anybody really has beaten that record that we got over there. Third, I think a lot of it still stands.
Oh, that's good right there.
Yeah,
That's good.
time.
If you kind of talk about, can you kind of dive into, your coaching philosophy and, what is important to you as a coach?
Well, it's kind of centered now. Before, even at Oregon State, it was all about the coaching and the techniques and the strategies, the drills. I didn't even have BRED then. If I had BRED then, I would have kicked butt, you know. But the real strategy, I think, that's made our camps what it is today and the teams that come what they become is coaching from the idea of people first. Because you're only as good as the quality of the people that's within that group. And if they don't buy into that, it's hard to create the team unity that you need to, you know, push each other along and get through the tough times. I mean, they're going to be tough times. I mean, every year it's a different team with different people, different makeup. But if you don't spend the time showing the kids that who you are is probably going to be the most important factor, whether you enjoy the season, hate the season, successful in the season, and with the team. And everybody's got to get on board with that idea that, you know, I got to serve a purpose beyond myself. These are just the people side of things that you have to spend time on to become successful. I think that's where I think I found the success, coupled with the drills I know now. I
Yeah.
wish I had before. It's a system, you know, getting good at anything is about reps, right? Just
Yeah.
getting the amount of reps and managing those reps. That's the key to the actual skill side of things. And the people side of the things is a whole nother gamut that you have to be good at.
Yeah.
And you have to spend time coaching at it. And that is the toughest part because not everybody's going to buy in and they buy in at different levels. But when you get them all to a point where they're all buying in, and I love listening to, like, you know, after the football Super Bowl, you hear the champions talk about how great the team was, how they played for one another. I mean, those are all so real, but it only happens to a small percentage of teams.
Yeah.
You know, they might not win a state champion or make it to the playoffs, but they had a successful season because they had a good time playing with and for each other, you know, because their goals were good and the people were good.
Yeah.
You know, and they probably made the best of what they could make out of what they had at the point in time. Yeah. So the skills part really is all about getting the right kind of reps. I think if you use BRED, you're going to get the reps, and you put them in the right drills, you're going to get the reps. That's a no-brainer part, but the people part is the tough one.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer, Coach, and kind of segues right into the next question. What do you believe is the most important thing a player should learn that goes beyond just the technical and skill level of volleyball?
Well, I fall back right to the people stuff is being able to be there for somebody else, be able to work not necessarily for you, but for the team and the betterment of the team. Because, you know, there's 6 guys that get on the court. You got to know that if I'm on the bench, I'm as important as one of those 6 guys. If I'm on the court, I got to look at the guys on the bench as important, see them as important as I am. And they all got to find a way to find their value, and they need to help each other find that value. Otherwise, it's everybody for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a coach, how do you go about bringing that out of others? Because I feel like that's the hardest thing with high school kids and college kids is to, you know, to recognize other people as of value as you are. So as a coach, I guess, how do you try and bring that out of each other?
Well, again, it's a crapshoot, you know. Some people, the nice thing with college that you learn is, hey, recruiting is everything. And it's your fault who you recruit. My first years there, I had enough notoriety in Oregon that I was able to land Oregon's MVP for the first 3 years I was there. And that made all the difference because people knew who I was by the, like, I used to run camps. My camps were as big as the college camps while I was still coaching in high school. You know, and there was this skills camp at the time. I never did any team stuff. In fact, when I first got to Oregon State, because of my basketball connections at Gresham, we used to take the teams to basketball team camps. But there was no team camps to go to in volleyball. So I did the first team camps and doing it today, 40 years later. You know, because that is to me, putting that team together is what I've learned, that the first 3 years, I got the best people in Oregon to become leaders in that team, to bring them together. Now, they all didn't get along always. You know, we had teams from California. And when you recruiting people, wherever they came from, they're probably the best. right? But now they're stepping into an arena where they're no longer the best. They have to re-show it all, and it's dog eat dog unless a coach can take that dog eat dog away. Still have the competitive, yet when they get their roles, they got to play them. And that's the tough part. And you have to spend time like you do serving every day, talking about those things. If you don't, if you spend a little bit of time, it's going to come back. The people skills need the reps as well as the skills. You got to rep that same feeling of we're here for each other. You got to spend that time.
That's a good answer, Coach. You mentioned all 5 of your boys being able to play Division I volleyball, and that, that's what you're most proud of. Can you kind of reflect on, maybe your greatest or proudest moment within the coaching realm, within a particular game or particular season? You got a lot of them. You got a lot of them.
We got a lot of them, but nothing stands out. The most enjoyable time was when I was chasing them around watching volleyball because they were all playing. One was at Stanford, one was at Northridge, one was at GCU, and the other one was, what was the other one? Stanford, GCU, Irvine. I would go up there for like a month and just go from one place to another. They'd be playing each other. I'd be sitting in the stands and then, cheering for both sides. I mean, that was the most joyous part that I find in the coaching, and realize, wow, how did we even get here to be so lucky? And me being so lucky to be a part of their lives from the time they were tiny until they went through college. And to watch that was like, it was just so fantastic. I had a wife who handled the financial part of our, when we did camps, she did all the behind the scenes stuff that made it work. I was just in front with the, doing the foo-foo, but she handled all that, and she's very successful in real estate. We have a business on the beach. I mean, I really did not do a lot of the financial stuff. My role was getting these kids to college, and that was the majority of it. And man, how lucky was I to be a part of my kids every step of the way, almost, so I don't know if I went off track on that question.
That's all right. That's all right, Coach. No, it's good. It's good to hear your testimony.
I loved. I mean, it's just so lucky.
Yeah. Why is the sport of volleyball the greatest sport in your opinion? I'm just assuming that's what you think it is. I know you're a basketball guy growing up, but I'm assuming.
I like pickleball, dude. Pickleball beats everything. Pickleball is top of the list. I'm kind of fading out of volleyball, but I'm using all my volleyball knowledge to get better in pickleball. It's all about the reps again. It's all about the reps. But I think volleyball, especially for the women's, it is a great sport for them because it's ballistic, it's contact, it's fast, it's exciting. I mean, and it's amazing, even in my tenure, to see how the sport has grown and moved. Like, when you were playing with Evan, we just got into, because we didn't have the firepower and because Evan had the ball control, we started hitting back rows. I mean, we would set him everywhere he was, right? Back row, back row, back row. But when I played, there's no such thing as back row. Nobody hit from the back row. I mean, everybody wants the ones and all the games have evolved, and there's still so much more room for evolving in this sport. I mean, with the level of athletes nowadays, it is so different, I mean, but I've entertained, even at this stage, now that I'm done, stepped away, I said, man, if there's a college opening in Oregon, only in Oregon though, I wouldn't move to any other state. I would not leave this island except if I went to Corvallis or someplace like that. And I would go back into coaching. I don't think I finished what I wanted to do there.
Yeah.
It's still like, at 71 is like, well, no way, man. Forget 71. I got a lot of stuff I can offer.
Yeah.
That's still, it's still a possibility. Who knows? If something pops up, I might just throw, like you said, you got to throw your name in there, right? If it's not in there, it's not considered.
Yeah.
So if you know of any job openings, in Oregon, yeah,
I will. That for sure. I'd shoot them your way. You know that they're. I think this spring is going to be the first year they're doing men's volleyball up here as a high school sport.
Oh yeah, I've been following that. In fact, in the skills camps now, I'm trying to promote it for the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys
The-
have any teams? Or sorry, any boys teams signed up for the camp?
yeah, we always have 1 or 2 every year.
Gotcha.
Not now. Hopefully, there'll be more. But it's
Is it a
because
sport out in Washington right now? Is it a men's sport in Washington? Or
no,
more so California teams that have been coming up or club
no. They the club teams, the boys'
club
club
teams?
teams will come. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but then hopefully now the high school boys teams. This I missed the boat on this. I didn't promote it to the high school boys. We don't do much promotions now because we're full every time. So there's really no need to, and I don't really want to do any more than, in fact, because my son Corey comes in now, he's all gung ho. I used to only do 3 camps, I went down to just, when we were without kids, we did 6 weeks of camps, almost all.
Dang.
Yeah, but because we weren't that big, so we would travel around. One site would have like 10 teams, another one would be 12. We never did much more than less than 10 teams. It would hard to make, not worth it to do less than 10 teams.
Yeah.
But now we're doing like 20 to 30, however big facilities we can get. Like
Yeah.
Seaside, we can get 36 teams down there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I got to imagine, right? Obviously, you're instilling a lot of structure and coaching on these teams and these coaches when they're at your camp. But at the same time, I think it's reciprocal in the sense that you're probably learning a lot from maybe them and how they go about, their teams. But is there some things that you can kind of think of that, you have taken from the camp, from learning from other coaches?
Absolutely. I mean, besides the coaches that I hire, right? For every team that comes, if there's 36 teams, I got to hire 36 coaches plus 2, maybe 3 or 4 gym directors that run the gyms for me. And they always bring stuff. Like, I don't know if you've seen what is it called? There's a video a coach brought to me. It was an admiral talking about fixing your bed.
Yeah,
Have you
I've
seen that? I mean, that probably I got maybe 10 years ago or something. I don't know. It's ancient. But since I got that, man, I fix my bed every day. Every day. Before I came on here, I fixed my bed. My wife's in Oregon right now, so normally she sleeps in and I'm out, so I don't have to fix them. But I fix my bed every day because it told me something that every little thing counts, and it's the start of your day, and you get something done. There's something we preach at camp all the time. Little things like that, and then and the coaches that bring their teams, we have a sit down. And we go over our system, our BRED system, and then they share stuff with me. And I ask them, I said, look, how can we make this camp better? If you've gone to another camp, what would you bring back to us? What would you say we need to do? So I'm always learning from people who are sharing, who are willing to share, And then sometimes, these coaches like, okay, you got 6 state championships. Why are you coming to me? I should be coming to you. What are you doing different? And he says, no, we're just doing what you're doing. So yes, there's a lot of trading because of new, what they experience. I always ask them, can you share something that you think we might do better or, would be nice to see at camp.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that one video was another one. A drill was another one, and but I'm trying to find more of the people stuff, so we share a lot of each other's experience, and then when we get into the sharing stuff, they actually answer the questions, and the coaches are sharing how they dealt with stuff, and I'm learning just from sitting around in that.
Yeah. Going back to your Kamehameha School days, if I were to come and watch a practice,
Yeah.
what do you want me to take away from that practice as far as who that team is and what their identity is?
Well, hopefully when you walk in the gym, you won't see our stuff just laid around. And I learned that the hard way, actually. Chris Blake, Kamehameha School Kapalama.
Maybe if I've seen a picture.
Our sister school, KS Kapalama. Their coach Chris Blake is pretty incredible. We ran a tournament, and they came to our tournament, and they wanted to practice the day before. So we were practicing and said, "Hey, okay, you can use this one court." They came in. Same time our kids came in, and they went to the court and started practicing. And then our kids showed up, and we started practicing. Then I looked over to their side, and their bags all lined up in one nice line, nothing hanging out, just perfect. And they were doing something all together. And I knew already by just what I witnessed that we were going to get our butts kicked. about how they walked in the gym
Yeah.
and how they put their stuff together, just like fixing a bed. Then I looked at our side of the court, clothes were out of the hang, shoes are over here. It was like, we're going to get our butts kicked, and we got our butts kicked. So I learned just from that my teams now don't look like that. When they walk in the gym and they leave an area or they sit in an area, they're going to look like they're a team. And I'm going to be proud of that area. You know, a small thing like that has to be taught and emphasized and followed through all the way. And I had to learn that, okay? I had to learn that first. I had to make that a priority in my coaching before it became a priority in the kids' eyes. And I had to actually make my assistant do it because I would forget. So I would pass on that duty. Say, oh, you're in charge of making sure whenever we travel, that we travel with a lot of respect and a lot of organization. And when we leave, people know that we came, and they're going to notice that because we're going to be different than everybody else. So it's not just me learning it, but assigning it to other people and making the people around me what I wanted to see.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
here's the second thing I'm proud of. My 24 years at Kamehameha School, I had the same staff start to finish.
That's impressive.
That's
That's really hard to do because you talk to coaches
Dude, tell
nowadays,
me
like
about it.
coaching retention is so hard.
Same staff, start to finish. And that's why we were so successful, because everybody knew and everybody was on the same page. And I never knew these guys before I started. You know, when we came in and they asked to join, I said, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are some of the qualities, like if you were to go out, this next adventure for Coach Guy Enriques when you take over the college program, you know, what are some of the qualities that you're looking for in an assistant coach?
I love the coaching part. I don't like the managing part. While I was at Kamehameha School, my assistant coach was Sam Thomas. He was the assistant chief of police. It's like the vice principal for school. They get all this doo-doo work, you know, the organizational work. So he was very good at making sure we crossed the T's, dots the I, because we traveled. They said we traveled out of state 3 times a season, and he was the organizer. And he kept us on track. I never worried about that stuff. I could come and I could just coach. He was also the disciplinarian, assistant police, right? But he wasn't the number one discipline. Actually, we always had, with the women's especially, we had a women's coach. I'll make sure that she was a disciplinarian. So you just got to, as a coach, make sure that what you have around you is going to fix up the stuff you're weak at.
Yeah.
So any coaching job I get, I got to make sure I got the right people around me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as I watch young coaches go out, they don't get the people who would challenge you and say, hey, I don't know about that. But they're going to find people a lot of times that just going to agree with what they do. I think you need people in your group that's willing to speak up and say, hey, I don't know about that, but still be able to support you if you decide you want to go that route.
Well, it's a good answer, Coach. Where do you stand on the debate? Is serving primarily offense or defense?
Hey, there's 3 things you got to do to win a volleyball game. 3 things. And if you do 2 of them, you probably have a good chance. You do 3 of them, you're going to smoke them. And this is in my book. Number 1 is serving. You have total control of that serving. If you're not a better server than the other team, you're going to be disadvantaged. So number 1, you got to be a better serving team than the other team. Now, the other part, I think, with the serving is you got to serve short. You got to have a drive where you're just driving, and you got to be pretty dang consistent, you know. And I'm okay with missing, but not like the guys program. I don't go there yet. I don't know if you've seen the guys serving with their ripping serves, and, you know, you miss 25 serves in a match. It's normal. It's not, nobody blinks an eye, but I just don't see that. I haven't bought into that level of serving yet. You know, I still think in serving, you've got to, if you're not missing serves, then you're really not pushing the envelope. I'm okay. You got to be serving 80% is what I'm saying. If I serve 10 times, I want them tough enough that I'm making 8 of them and missing maybe 2 because I'm pushing the envelope. And I got to have a variety of serves because a lot of teams only receive certain serves. So if you drop in a short serve, I don't know what to do with that. Okay, and then this last year, we have high ceilings at KS. We were serving these bombs up to the ceiling and dropping the back third.
Yeah.
You know what? It's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But I only had 1 year of practice with that. And I was going to use it at state, but the gym we played, doggone it, they didn't have a high ceiling. And then I think the last game we moved to one of the stadiums and we served some high balls and it freaking worked at state. I mean, just launched it. Like if you played in the Stan Sheriff, you couldn't do it because there's a big scoreboard in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Well, I tell you what, if you get good at that, nobody's ready for that serve.
Yeah.
So you got to be creative on the serving side, and you got to be better than the other guys. That's number one. Number two is receiving. If the other guys are just serving you off the court, it's all quick points that you win or lose. So 1, 2, usually you got your Libero and your 2 OHs that receive. So you got to give them the meat of the time in practice on serve receive. And then your secondary people passing would get less reps. Kind of like football, right?
Yeah.
Your quarterback gets all the reps, and your second string quarterback might get 3 or 4, passes in. Same thing with the serve receive. And I watch people do drills, and it's like, why aren't you giving your guys your life depends on 6 arms. 6 arms, 3 players that's going to pass either successfully or unsuccessfully. So you better give them that time. It's just simple stuff like that. And then the other thing is ball control. Just the balls that you're supposed to get, you got to get. And that comes from reps. And then this is where BRED takes care of the ball control for me. Bottom line, BRED. And then emphasizing certain drills like the serve receive guys, they got to receive all kinds of serve. Jump serves, floaters, drives, lobs. But those 3 things, number one.
I think there's, like what you're saying, there's a lot of merit where you're just changing the pitcher. Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. I never understood why my dad would serve underhand every once in a while during beach. Like, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's an easy serve. But then, like, when I started playing against him, like, it's a different pitcher. It's a different ball angle, right? It's a different flight pattern. It's hard to read short or long if it's all coming from the same arm angle. And so, like, there's a couple times when I was playing a lot of beach out here when I was done with college, it was a twofold. Like, okay, you serve underhand to someone who is a power player, they think you're disrespecting them. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, I can put it short and I can put it in the far opposite corner and I can get them out of system. And sometimes it throws, I think, players for a loop because it's like, why are you serving me underhand? Like, what kind of player do you think I am? Or I can't receive an underhand serve. But like you said, if you don't see it, you're not accustomed to it, and it just gives you an adjustment period. And just to kind of correlate that with football, it's like you see traditional spread pro style offenses, but then you go play Air Force, who is a triple option team, wing T team. Like, it's just, you don't see it. It's hard to practice against it, and it's hard to play against it. So that was
I was playing beach one day, and this guy I'm literally serving off the court with a freaking underhand serve, and I go, what the heck? I mean, I learned that way, but, I had to get served off the court before I realized, man, that's great serve.
No doubt. Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, shoot, I need to play more beach so that now that I'm living the stay-at-home dad life, I'm going to got to get my butt back into shape and get out there and play.
Pickleball, pickleball.
Dude, first time I played it, my friend's birthday in February. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. Because I just think there's so much translation just as far as court awareness and where you want to place shots.
Yeah.
That to me, I thought it was fairly easy to pick up, and I got a great sweat.
There you go. Great sweat. You got that. And your reaction stays sharp.
Yeah.
And then you move in short distances, that's all you need. I mean, it's good. But anyway.
What would you say? I love what you said about, the game of volleyball is ever evolving. What would you say, I guess, has been the biggest evolution probably in the past, or from when you started to where the game is at now? I know you mentioned Libero and defensive specialist, but is there anything else that you would touch on?
The scoring has changed from side out scoring to Libero, to rally scoring, and that made a big difference in the sport.
For better or for worse, in your opinion?
Actually better, because a 15-point game can go forever on side outs. Whereas this one here, especially now that you're playing best of 5, you need to limit that thing, because if you go 5 games, that's a long match. Especially if it's a tit for tat kind of back and forth, and you're going down to 25, down to the wire every set. The 5th set, even though it's 15, and if it's a side out scoring, man, jeez. A 3-game side out scoring can go way longer than a 5-match rally scoring game.
No doubt.
So I like the fact that's changed. I love the Libero. It makes the game a lot more exciting because the Liberos can do some crazy stuff. For me, it extended my game because I'd be done a long time ago. You know, you wouldn't be jumping anymore.
So what was it prior? You got to enlighten me on what was it prior, because it's always been, at least when I was playing, it always, you know, Libero was a part of the game. What was it prior?
Just a DS.
Gotcha.
Defense, especially, you get in, you rotate. Well, when I was playing at the Mat Club in the 70s and early 80s, you could go on only one time. You go in, if you're subbing, you go in and you come out, you're done for the whole game. And when you played at Nationals, it was double elimination. You would travel to Texas to go play in the Nationals. You lose 2 games, you're done. You know, I mean, the game has evolved crazy for the better. I'm liking where we are today. But going back to what was your question?
Just the evolution of volleyball.
Yeah. I like where it's gone right now. I mean, it's a, you know, I don't know, maybe having to move the net up a little bit for the guys because they're so far over the net. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, they're playing so high over the net nowadays. Can you imagine if basketball players started playing volleyball? Oh my gosh.
So,
You know, you
it'd
put
be
money
different
into
now.
this volleyball game,
Yeah.
you know, and then these guys come out. I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, it could evolve to that if there's money involved, and then you get these high level athletes come out. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Well, and I mean, there's already a lot of length in volleyball as it is, but like, I mean, like you're saying, you had some of those guys back there,
The
and
super athletes.
I mean, they just all 3 of them lined up can just, you know, extend the whole court,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, but they'd have to wear helmets because their chests would be above the nets, and it's like you're blocking with your body. 8 feet is nothing. Their heads are at.
I mean, is that something that gets talked about as far as moving the net up 6 inches or something like that? Is that something that gets talked about on the national level, or not
I've
really?
never heard much talk about it, but
Yeah.
even the guys' game as it stands today, they're well above the net. I mean, even at nationals, when I'm at nationals, I go watch the pros play, and they're way up there, man. Yeah. It's a big man's game, and because of Libero, you can have a little guy in the back and still be a part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about BRED quite a bit, but is there a specific drill or team period that you use nowadays that you wish you started 30, 40 years ago? And I know you mentioned BRED as a system, but is there a specific drill or team period that you do that you wish you started when you first started off coaching?
No, and I think this is where BRED is still at the tip of the iceberg, because it's just one man's mind on what I think is the best drills. But the BRED system is just a system of management. How do you make a point, or how do you score a value in the drill?
Yeah.
It's a system. So you can create whatever drill that you think is going to get the best results and then manage it.
Gotcha.
That's all it is. It's just managing the skills you value and giving it a point system. So every time I hit that ball, I get 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's the beauty of it. Like, for example, if my goal, and I'm going back to 2 contact pepper, you and I across the net, I hit it to you, you dig it to yourself, you hit it back to me, that's 1. If our goal is 20, watch what happens at 15. What do you think happens when we're getting close to 20?
Start
What
to tense
happens?
up maybe a little bit.
Oh,
Start to get a
yeah.
little bit more conservative a little bit.
Yes.
Afraid to
this
mess up.
teaching moment, right? This is when people panic. And every drill and every time you approach that's the magic of this, where you're learning how to compete right when it's important. So the coach has to be there and says, if you let up this next one, you're done. And you terminate that drill. You've got to learn how to play your best game when the time requires, and that's when it's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And you watch kids, when they get their 20, they're so relaxed after that, they're just smoking through. That's when they bust over that 20 and they get 30, 40, because now they're flowing and they're not worried about stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what BRED does.
Yeah. See, I didn't think about that when you first initially were talking about it. I never thought about that pressure component of it.
Oh, big time.
But just to draw a parallel, it's like at the end of practice or at the end of, before water break in basketball, like you got pressure free throws. You know what I mean? So you're just simulating, and you're putting these these micro pressure environments on them. And eventually, when it comes to game time, it becomes natural because they did it so many times during practice. Exactly like you just said with reps.
BRED and reps. But there's more to it. There's there's not enough time. This is why people love coming to camps, because they're picking all this stuff up that they didn't learn it last year, but they didn't hear it, they didn't do it, and then, well, I got this one. But we also practice in very chaotic situations. So like you and I are doing 2 contact pepper on the net, and we're in the middle of the court. To my right is another pair, and to my left is another pair. So on a full court, we got 3 pairs going at one time, right? It's called chaos. So you got to work with all these guys going, and if one of your other teammates get in your way and you drop your ball, you're done. You got to work through that. In other words, you got to try and keep your ball alive, even though somebody might be messing you up. Sometimes 2 balls will hit each other. They're both done. And they only get 3 attempts. Once they learn this, 3 attempts to break their record. And they don't always succeed. This is what I've learned is you want drills to be hard so they lose. They don't always win, but they have a chance to win if they focus, but they don't always win. Because I learned this from...
If you had to put like a numerical percentage on that, like what do you want that success rate to be? What are you thinking? Like you want it to be like a 30, 40%? What do you, if you had to put a new percentage on it?
We have 7 drills that I use in BRED for ball control and reps.
Yeah.
Ball control and reps. There's a certain segment that has 7 drills, and we want you to get 4. It's a little over 50%. If you can break 4 records out of the 7 every day, that's good. If you do more, it's great. And then not every day, every kid makes it. And I would say 50% of our kids make that 4 every day. But as now you got to understand, as the numbers go higher, it's less able to get it.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't really push it, but you watch it and you manage it, and then you can put different parameters in it. But the chaotic part is one thing. But I'm just with BRED, I learn stuff all the time, and it's still, you get better coaches who understand the game, can import more things to this system. But it's a system, like I said, I picked it up from weight training, how they did that, just applied to volleyball.
But that's the beauty of sports right there. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing this podcast is, I'm learning best practices from sports from, across the spectrum. And exactly what you're saying right now, like is applicable to every other sport and can be used in every other sport to some degree.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that has helped me a lot is to write down all the things that I value in the game that I want to see happen, and just have that list right down in front of me and make sure I'm checking it off.
Yeah. I like that, Coach. Prefaced you before we got on the Anela question of the day, and my daughter's question was, what is your favorite song?
Boy, what is my favorite song? I was just not too long ago, I was just flipping through. I think the song is called Remember by, what's her name? Lady Gaga, I think.
Okay.
I think
that's at the top of the playlist right now?
Top of the playlist right now. I mean, I'm doing a lot of fishing now, and then the song comes up, man, I'm hopping on my boat.
How often do you get out on the water?
Well, you know how Kau is, right? It's pretty windy, so whenever the wind dies down, I'm on it. I mean, that's my priority right now, fishing. Yeah. I was out there yesterday and had a good time.
Does that mean you didn't catch anything? You had a good time?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
Actually, yesterday I dropped it off. So, it was like it was a good day on the water.
What'd you end up catching yesterday? Couple onos, couple mahis?
I got 4 onos, got 2 50-pound ahis. There's a lot of smaller ones. Had a good day. Yeah.
Just
kind of nice. Yeah.
My uncle just making some the panko ono.
Oh, man. That's the best right there. That's my favorite right there. Panko ono right there. Yeah. Or mahi. Those 2 fish are my favorite. I don't do poke, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does the word team mean to you?
Well, just all these acronyms for it. Together, everyone achieves more. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, this is why I'm only starting now to go back to skills camp, because coaching the team is where it's at. To me, that's where the magic occurs. So if you can coach your team, That's why I do Guy Enriques Team Camps. That's way more fun than just doing skills. Love it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it because
So-
you see the difference when they buy in.
What would you say separates a state championship team from just a good team, if all else is equal across the board as far as talent wise?
Well, the buy-in to the people stuff and serving a purpose beyond yourself's got to be there. Usually is there with a state championship team.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, a team will win that had a miserable time doing it. I mean, I even had teams that had one of the best records that, man, I didn't have fun. So that's not always true and there's a lot of teams, like if I had a down season, which, I've never had a really crappy winning loss season. I'm always usually on the top of things and always happy with what I could do with that particular team. But sometimes even the team that doesn't get the best win and loss, that's the funnest team I've ever had and the most fun the kids ever had together, even though we didn't get as far as the team before. So a state champion to me doesn't necessarily mean that was the best team or the best experience. No, I've had great teams that I wish, I wouldn't want to coach that team again.
Yeah.
I'm glad to move on to and look forward to the next team. I mean, I've had teams that didn't get as far that, man, that was the best time in my life with them, enjoyable. And I still have all these friendships that I, see and then they, say hi and call. I mean, I just had a kid yesterday call me and tell me, hey, I'm going into the portal. What do you think, coach? I mean, just stuff like that. It's just lifetime stuff. That's you just can't replace. And it doesn't matter how they finish at state or not. It's the relationships you build and the people stuff that really are the anchor points to me for being successful as a coach.
Yeah.
And you
I like
learn
that.
that as you go along. I mean, I was strictly coaching before, and I don't know how I got as successful just by coaching that, but you evolved into where now you're even more successful because you learn things.
What does the approach and the communication look like if, your player just had a bad game? What do you do? Do you wait? You approach it the night of? Why give it a day? What does that communication look like?
Well, for me, you have a bad game, you flush it. I flush it, they flush it, then you look forward to, okay, what do we need to fix? So I don't usually try to dwell on it. I say, look, we all have bad games. That was your bad game. Flush, boom, let it go. But you got to take forward what you might have learned from it first. But don't just flush it, but figure out what you need to do different and then flush it. And that's usually how I try to approach things, unless a lot of times there's more to it than just the game. There's other things that are hidden underneath the player's poor performance. Whether it's bad grades, relationships, angry at a teammate. I mean, there's different kinds of things that cause the bad performance. If there's something beyond the actual skill set, then it takes more time. But usually, if it's just a bad game, it's a bad game. Let it go. And that's kind of how if I'm coaching a game and we lose a game that we played poorly, that's on me, right? It's on me as a coach, and I don't sleep well until I fix it, until I get a W that says, okay, I'm back on track. So that drives me a little bit more, and maybe some players are that way too. But I certainly don't put it out in front of me like I'm pissed about that. I mean, internally, I'm like, I'm not satisfied till I get back on the right track. But it's something I keep inside, and maybe players do the same thing. But we're all different in how we process our wins and losses and our poor performances.
Yeah. How do you go about establishing a sense of leadership within the team?
Well, I think number one, if you treat them respectfully as people, I think that's the start. And you're fair and you're clear about where you're going, what you're doing, and you hold them accountable equally. I think those are just basics to getting the leadership, respect, and following, that can take your team a long ways. And especially if you're high school, oh my gosh. To me, high school is the hardest place to coach. I mean, college is a piece of cake. You're not dealing with parents. You're not dealing with, emotions. I mean, and to me, if you're a college coach, whoever you recruit, that's you chose them. So you got to deal with that, I mean, you got to take ownership of that. Where in high school, whoever walks in, if they're good enough, it's hard to axe anybody because of their attitude off the get-go unless you can justify it, because they might change one year to the next. But yeah, so it's high school coaching is far more, it's a lot tougher than even club, because even club, you get a choice of who you pick, who's on your team, and what parents come with it, right? You have
true.
those choices, not in high school.
Yeah. We're thinking high school here. Okay.
Yep.
You go back and you're coaching next year at high school level. And this is just the framework of the question. You could have one player on the team who is an all conference player, top of the state player. What position is that player and why?
It'll likely be your OH, your outside hitter, because they have the most responsibilities. They're serve receiving. They're in the high defensive area, and as the OH, you will probably get the bigs in the backcourt. Then you will get the outside hitting off the bad passes and the digs, just because you're in that position that's easier to get the sets. So you're expected to handle the ball, make good decisions, and not just try to rip it and kill yourself, but you try to sustain the rally. You got to make those choices. But you're in the hot seat all the time in that particular position.
Yeah. If you could ask any coach, any sport, one question, who would the coach be? And what would the question be?
Oh, my goodness. I spend a lot of time. If you look at my Instagram, it's all coaches talking. I came across a guy named Leak, I think. Ryan Leak. Have you heard that name?
Mm-mm.
Inspirational talker, a motivator. I mean, not sports.
Right now.
Not sports. Not sports. Just
This is on the team Instagram, or is this on your personal Instagram?
No, this is just Instagram, just flipping through things.
Gotcha.
And if you stuck on one thing too much, you all of a sudden you get a lot of that stuff.
Oh, I've seen this guy. This guy's electric.
Yes, and I have just soaked him up. In fact, I have a list of about 5 things that I'm going to present in my camps just from his talks. And he's not even a coach, but it's about people stuff, about growing people and how to get them to, be the best and have the right frame of mind, because it's all mindset. It's all mindset. Getting the mindset of the kids to be on the same page all the time. That's, to me, the toughest part of the coach's job. But it's the most challenging. That's why I love it. Because if you can get them on that same page, man, they're a great team. If not, then you suck for a year and then you get another chance.
Yeah.
I look at coaching as you get 3 months with them in high school, right? Maybe 4 months. It's like you getting a canvas and you're going to paint. So in 4 months, you're going to look at your painting and say, wow, that was fun. Or, that really sucked. I gotta throw this canvas away. And then you figure out, okay, next round you go again. But with Ryan Leak, man, he's got some really good stuff.
What would be the question that you would ask Ryan?
I can't remember right. Oh, why would I ask him? I'm gonna ask him to keep feeding me stuff, I don't know where he comes up with, but he's not only got good information, he's a good presenter.
Yeah, and he's young too. Young.
He's like a kid,
Yeah, he's a great orator.
Yes, I think if you're going to be a coach, you've got to be that too. You got to kind of take how he presents things, his tone, I used to go watch, what's his name? Not Oral. The preachers before they give their lectures or Sunday on television, how these guys would preach and capture the attention.
Joel Osteen would always do a joke before he got.
Guy, Joel Osteen. Yes.
Yeah, he always did a joke before he got into his.
I would just go watch him, not listen to the sermon, just watch him present. Yeah. So Ryan Leak is my new guy right now.
Oh, it's good, coach. Is there any other, acronyms, quotes, or anything that you want to share for the good of the community?
Boy,
that's important to you that you live by.
Not top of my head right now, but
yeah.
I consider myself a principle-based coach. In other words, everything I do is based on a principle. So if you would just write down all your most valuable things, principle, and you just operate by them, I think that's the easiest way to go. And I try to stress this with all the coaches that come to the camp, man, you take so much time and it takes a lot of effort for a coach to bring a team to camp, house them, travel them, feed them. I says, you got to get the most out of it. And you need to take the time, because your program is only going to be as good as you. You are you're going to make or break this team. take them the farthest they're going to go. You putting the time. I love it, but you got to put the time into you.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
I mean, that was going to be my next question. What advice would you give to younger coaches? But you just answered it right there. You just answered it. Yeah. But Coach Abe, I freaking appreciate you. You don't know how much this means for me just to talk with someone from back home. You know, I'm losing my pigeon a little bit, and talk to someone of your stature, and just I guess your reverence around the game of volleyball, especially back home in Hawaii. So it was definitely a sentimental interview for me, and especially competing against you at the high school level, and just to kind of I felt like I know you, but I didn't know you. I always knew of Uncle Guy, but this hour and 45 minutes that we spent together talking beforehand.
Oh, that long?
And talking on.
Oh my
I
goodness.
would say not necessarily the recording isn't, but we were probably
Yeah,
BSing for about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was good, Coach. And, I took a lot from this conversation, and, I really appreciate your time.
Well,
really
thank
do.
you. I mean,
Yeah.
nice to see you out there. I mean, I love Corvallis. Like I said,
Yeah.
if I have to move out of here, that's the only place I would probably go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back to Gresham because that east wind out there is nasty. It's been 6 years out there, and that is way too much. I mean, but it's a beautiful place in the summer. But
Yeah.
no, the winter time, man, that east wind is bad.
We've had a really good winter. It's been a little wet here and there. Like yesterday was 58 yesterday.
Yeah. And
So
I
it
love
was-
going down the coast to go fish down. When I was in Corvallis, I just go
Yeah.
right down
Just
there.
go right to Newport.
Go to Newport and go fishing, salmon fishing.
Yeah. We go crabbing quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but a couple times during the summer we go crabbing.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, Coach. I'll have this episode turned around by Friday, and then I'll make sure to tag you in the social media, tag you guys camp page and social media, if that's something you guys want on your page and stuff. Nice little free
Love it.
marketing. But actually, before we go, tell us a little bit more. I know you talked about kind of the BRED system, but tell us, why Guy Enriques Team Camp would be beneficial for a high school team, for a women's team, or now in Oregon, a men's team.
Well, I think we focus on the right stuff, and we can help you. Well, the biggest thing with Guy Enriques camps is you have a lot of teams there, and you're going to compete through tournaments. In other words, what's really cool about the tournament is, for example, when you get in there, we're going to play the first tournament we play is going to be communication. You're going to have 4 teams on a court, right? 2 teams on playing, third one next on, the other one's shagging. So you're playing. If a player doesn't call the ball loud 3 times, you're off. You go to the back of the line, the next team on. So the whole first tournament, first to 3 points, teams are axed out. And not till the end of that tournament are they all screaming and yelling, in, out. And you get the picture. You can only stay on the court if you're doing the right things. Even though the game is only 3 points, one team might get lucky enough and they're all calling the ball and they get 3 points. But the next tournament is maybe cover, but you have to call every ball and then you have to cover. Does that make sense? So every tournament builds on the next one. And if you don't make those calls, you just get off the court. So you can only stay on the court if you're doing the stuff we're asking you to do. And the teams that are getting it all and then actually competing with where the scores mean something, then it's really see progress. But they got to get through. Here's the one thing. What we teach is you have to be great at the skills that take no talent. I'm going to say it again. You have to be awesome at the skills that take no talent. Like, does it take talent to call a ball? Mine. No, but you have to be great at that, right? Does it take talent to run off and on the court? No, but you got to do that. Does it take talent to shag? No, but can you imagine if our coaches were to coach the skills that take no talent, you would see their team just elevate itself. And that's what we try to do at Team Camp is getting the kids to buy in this, being great at the stuff that takes no talent. And then we progress with each tournament, focus on different things to become great. But you can't duplicate it anyplace else except in this kind of tournament format. You can't. You can't even duplicate in your own. I can't duplicate in my own practice because I need these other teams to kick me off and still play. So I think that's the magic of what we do.
That's good shit, baby. I like that. Well, I mean, it goes. I mean, it's going back to BRED, and it goes back to just a systemic approach, and you're compartmentalizing all these skill sets that are not skills within the game, but are very much pertinent to the game. And you're scoring it, and you're measuring it, and
just like I said,
Once
I don't
again,
know how
Coach.
you apply with football. I'm sure it's even more complicated because you got way more positions and relationships that has to happen for that 11 people on the field to make a difference.
Well, the only anecdote that I would say is when I was at Boise State, we tracked turnovers and we tracked ball opportunities throughout practice as a defense. So a ball opportunity could be, an interception, batted pass, punching at the football on the ball carrier. But we try to get 3 turnovers throughout practice during the day. And we highlighted if you got the turnover, the whole practice would stop and you'd say takeaway number 1, and everyone would say 1. And regardless if the field was split between offense and defense, everyone heard it. Everyone acknowledged it. But then, if we didn't get 3 takeaways at the end of practice, then we ran like a 75% gasser. But that was kind of like our metrics to help reinforce what we wanted, which was we need to be ball aware. And we're going to highlight that and we're going to acknowledge that. So that would be the only parallel that I could draw, off the top of my head. That's, much like the BRED system.
Absolutely. Managing what skill you value.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here it is. Rapid improvement occurs when you manage the skills you value. So you can take any sport and figure out what skills it is, figure a way to point system on it. That's all it is.
That's good stuff, man. Well, I'm looking forward. I'm excited to see you and the fam during Seaside. I think we're going to be there. If I get my ass in shape, I will be playing, but we'll see. But thank you so much, Coach. And then I'll shoot you a text on the side as far as when I'm going to upload it.
Dad and see if he would like to play indoors in Florida.
For the sake of my dad's health, I'm not even going to freaking tell him about it. I can't have that guy. I mean, he's had shoulder surgeries, I think, on each shoulder the past like 5 years, at least both of them. But yeah.
Tell him pickleball then.
I think he would get into that. I think he would.
He would love it, and he'd be very good at it.
Yeah. But true, Coach, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Aloha.
Okay.
Yep, I'll see you.
Aloha.
Shoot.